Hi, kitty cats. I am transgender, I'm well educated, and I'm willing to answer any questions you've got about the science and sex and gender or the process of gender transition. So bring it on. All right, well, let me go to, I've got some little opening statements here. So first of all, my name is Amethysta Herrick. I am an author and a podcaster, also a scientist. You can check the links below here that you're seeing, go through the carousel to find more information about me and the work that I do. My personal website is amethysta.io. You will find all the social media networks that I'm on there, and please follow me for updates on everything I do. My professional website, you'll see this come up too, is genderidentitytoday.com. All of my professional work is there, my podcasts, my audio, my articles, and these live streams actually show up there as well as articles. The last one you'll see, genderidentitytoday.com. If you like that content, you can please consider subscribing. You can get a subscription for like $2 a month. And if you actually want to contribute content, because I love to do that, I love to publish other people's work, please contact me through my personal website contact page, amethysta.io. And finally, the last thing you'll see here is a Ko-fi link. So it's ko.fi.com. You can leave a tip there if you want, so do it as you see fit. All right, let me first say hi to Matt. I see you're here. Thank you so much for the gifts already. I also see Erica Foreman. Hi, Erica. 6 days until surgery. Pretty jammin'. That is a lot of joy. Good on you. And I also see Joe Neal. How goes it? I am doing okay, Joe. Good to see you here too. For some reason, I don't know why this isn't coming up on the multi-stream thing in Streamlabs, but who knows? All right. Before I take any questions, because I see I have none at the moment, I want to start off with something that occurred recently. I want to talk about, first of all, why cisgender is not a slur. And hopefully there are people now listening saying, oh, cisgender is too a slur. Why do I even care about this? I got a comment on a YouTube video that had nothing to do with the topic of the comment, but the comment talked about Milton Erickson, and I don't know. Oh, hey, Frybird. Frybird's here too. I don't know if anybody knows Milton Erickson. He was a psychologist who did a lot of work in hypnotherapy back a long time ago. So this guy mentioned a book that was published in 1973 where Erickson claims to have healed, I'm going to put this in a little bit of air quotes, healed a guy who may have been a transgender and homosexual man. And the healing means that this guy was able to go on and live, as the comment put it, a happy, normal life, married with children, so heterosexual and apparently, embracing the gender that the commenter at least wanted him to embrace. And it only took, this comment says, only took the power of suggestion. So why would I tell people to transition when they could just go to a hypnotist and it'll all be fixed? Now, I think this is a good question, and this is why I brought it up, because I happen to be preparing, for what it's worth, for a hypnotherapy course that I'm going to start in April. I'm doing this because I actually want to use this in my own gender coaching practice, because I find a lot of people in the transgender community face not necessarily that it's that we are upset about being transgender, although many of us do have a guilt that's associated with it, but there is a lot of buried trauma. So that's why I want to use hypnotherapy. And so I happen to have had some familiarity with Milton Erickson as well as his work. My original response simply said that gender and sexuality are not pathologies. First of all, they are both based in our identity. And when we know who we are, we really don't need to fix anything. And as it turns out, Milton Erickson, the methodology that Erickson, used in the 1970s is a type where he called it utilization. So you utilize what you would call a pathology. you don't think of it as a bad characteristic. It's a characteristic that you're just not using in a constructive manner. And that's why the suggestion can help. The suggestion can change how we view those characteristics that aren't currently serving us so that they do start to serve us. And this is a big component of modern hypnotherapy. I'm sure I'm going to end up talking more and more about this once I start the class in April. But so I also brought up in my response that our ideas, science's ideas and psychology's ideas on gender have changed over 50 years. And this brought a response from the original commenter that was way more aggressive, like way more aggressive, where he said, first of all, he said, how do I know who I am? Maybe I'm just the product of childhood traumas, which, sure. But he also said that I'm forcing him to acknowledge my pathologies as normal. Went on also to say that I personally, at least insinuated, I personally have assaulted women in private spaces. I personally endanger his children, apparently. These are very standard anti-transgender arguments that I'm just going to look at the camera and say these are not backed up by data and they are not validated by speaking to actual transgender people. One of his points, now I finally got here, was that I also personally called him cisgender, which is a slur. But I'm going to go on record here and say that cisgender is not a slur. Cisgender is an evolution of understanding. This is the way science works. Now, before I get into the analogy to explain this, let me first say thank you so much, Frybird, for sending me some gifts. So lovely. My Thorns Have Roses is a beautiful name. I'm trying to remember who you are from the display name, but hi, Thorn. I'm going to call you Thorn because it sounds cool. All right, so here we go. Here's my analogy. Let me wipe my nose. Early humans, so if we go back maybe 5,000 years ago, let's say 5,000, certainly 7,000 years ago, I'm trying to think when the Bronze Age occurred. So if we go back by 7,000 years, humans were looking around them. Okay, these are humans observing nature, and they'd pick things up and go, what do I got here? I got a rock. So I've got a rock. Then humans observed that if you put this rock into some really hot fires, sometimes things would melt out of it. We realize this as smelting metal, right? So now our understanding of rock turned into ore. That's important, right? Now you have metal ore. But then we observed that the metal that came out differed. And then we were able to break this down further. Not just rocks, not just ore, but tin ore or copper ore or iron ore, gold ore. So we moved from rock. This was just, an observation to ore. Now we have a specialization of the first observation to a type of ore which starts to talk about utility for humans. And so now you can, knowing the type of ore that you find, now you can make mirrors, or you can make weapons, you can make jewelry. Maybe you need to make the weapons so that you can protect the people using the mirrors and wearing the jewelry. Who knows? That's utility. Cisgender, the word cisgender, comes from recognizing that all humans have gender, which is what biology says anyway, that all species that reproduce sexually have some concept of gender, because it's a specialization for an individuation of physicality, and then genetics, biochemistry, and of course the social environment within which that organism exists. So we have moved from one word, the observation that humans have gender, to the observation that there are different expressions. And now we come up with two particular terms, cisgender and transgender. We've moved from one word, that's it, to two words. And all it reflects is that we have observed multiple types. And we've allowed these observations to flow through into our normal lives. We've also changed our characterization of just the simple word gender by its utility to humans. So in my opinion, and here you go, this is why cisgender is not a slur, because cisgender is about the same as saying that gold ore is a slur to other rocks. No, it's just a specialization down into the type of metal that comes out of said ore. These are scientific observations. And if you're upset at this point that cisgender is some kind of a slur, I've got 3 reasons that could be possible here. There's probably many more. You just don't like the idea of gender being fluid. Because one of the things this guy said was that he's not cisgender, he's normal. So if you use the word cisgender, you lose this concept of there are normal people and there are abnormal people. And I got it. I mean, that was what this guy wanted, because he did want to see my expression as pathological. So he loses the designation of normal. That's probable. You also might not like just plain old evolution of language or science. You know, it's a bummer if you don't like science, how science changes, but you kind of have to just go with how science changes. You could, if you were 1910, one of the great examples about progress, if in 1910 you had a buggy whip company, right? Something that you would use to whip horses to move your horse-drawn buggies. You either evolved or you went out of business, and presumably most buggy whip companies went out of business, because I don't see a lot of buggy whip companies out there today. If you own one, though, by all means, drop a comment in the chat here. Wouldn't that be cool? I'd love to know if somebody has a buggy whip company. Anyway, if you don't like the evolution of language or science, maybe you're frightened by progress. And you go, gosh, I don't want 2 words where 1 word sufficed. And then, as my wife said, and I think this is probably accurate, there are some people who just plain want to get offended. I'm sorry. If you want to get offended, this is the wrong place, apparently, for you. Modern life. Sorry. Matt, I don't know. So Matt says that those buggy whips, there are still buggy whips out there. They're just used for other purposes now. I don't know if you call those buggy whips. All right, that was all I wanted to say. This guy got really bent out of shape. And an interesting little tidbit here. This is kind of a crazy thing. I've been talking back and forth on Signal with the person who runs the hypnotherapy course, right? So I've been talking with him because he gave me some book things so that I can read before April, because that's the kind of person I am, right? I'm teacher's pet and I'm an overachiever, so there you are. Anyway, he responded because I sent him that comment and I said, hey, what do you think about this comment? Anyway, he responded. I saw the little pop-up in the corner there as I've just been talking about this. I have no idea what he said, but I bet you it's pretty interesting. So, cisgender, if you're offended by cisgender, yeah, that's a bummer on your part. All right, let's see. Let me go to comments here. Hopefully that somebody has a question, if you got a question. Oh, I've got Jenny C4Me. I wish I knew what that was, Jenny. Because at C4, I saw that and I went, Jenny's just exploding all over. Plastic explosive Jenny. I don't think that's it. Maybe it is, but hi, Jenny. All right, what else do we have? So Frybird is laughing at cisgender being a slur. I don't know. Why does that happen? No way, hang on. I made the joke about C4 explosive. Jenny just exploding all over, and Jenny says that's exactly what it is. Wow, that's pretty cool. Anyway, well, good to see you. Frybird says, buy your whips. I'm curious what kind of whips you're making there. Are they leather? Are they cotton? Are they... Matt is saying, to Jenny, she's explosively cute. Right? There you go. All right, somebody give me a question. Anybody have some questions? Because let me see, what else could I talk about? I'll take a quick drink. Interesting things that occurred this week. I've done some videos on this, right? Just transgender joy videos or whatever. If you are transgender and you're out there going, oh my gosh, what the hell is going on with the world? I'm very glad to be able to report that there are many challenges that are being made to these 200 executive orders. And some of them don't have to do with the 4 executive orders that target gender in particular, you know, the distinction between sex and gender, whether or not the distinction between sex and gender should be taught in schools, you know, whether or not adults, and I'm going to say that, adults, because in the United States, 18 makes you an adult. So people who are under 19, is what the executive order says, are unable to get gender-affirming care, in particular hormone replacement therapy or puberty blockers. So if you're concerned about this, there are certainly challenges that are coming out. I like that. Let me keep using that. They've come out. Frybird says, I can't make you an adult. No, I cannot make you act like an adult, right? That's a bummer. No, it's not a bummer, because you can't really make me act like an adult either. But I was going to say, there was a page that I found recently. Of course, it's not coming to me, and I don't have my phone here. But there's a web page that I found recently where somebody is tracking the number of, or this tracking all the lawsuits that have been filed regarding all of these 200 executive orders. The last time I looked, which I think was Thursday night, so it's quite possible that it's changed, that it's gone up. The last time I looked, it was, there were 33. 33, okay? There was also one representative, it was a Democrat from Texas, who has already brought up the ideas of articles of impeachment. Think about this, folks. We're 3 weeks into this administration, and somebody's already willing to bring up articles of impeachment. I'm not telling you the fight's won. I'm not telling you we're finished. I'm not telling you to stop worrying. But I will certainly say that there is action being taken, which makes me very happy. I really hope that at some point this administration realizes, okay, my shock and awe campaign has confused everybody and driven everybody away from, you know, supporting, you know, whatever it was they thought they needed to support 3 months ago. So, all right. So anyway, I did want to say that. What do we got here? Matt does say he regrets becoming an adult. I don't know. That's an interesting point. I agree with you. I don't really. Matt also brings up it's BS. He doesn't want to pay bills, do cleaning. I'm going to go with you on that. But my childhood was so yucky. Like, I don't want to, I wouldn't want to continue to be a child. I wouldn't want to, well, I'll put it to you this way. I certainly wouldn't want to live with my parents. Right? Think of it that way. You have to pay bills and you have to do your own cleaning, but at least you don't have to live with your parents. I think that's a happy thing. All right, let me look at YouTube comments here. So Angela brings up that when she was young in the 1970s, there were transvestism and transsexual. And so now we have trans. So she's saying trans. I like to use the word transgender, although trans I know is used as a more umbrella term. Trans and cross-dressers. Language changes over time. Agreed. So transvestism in the 1970s, I believe that would have been DSM-2 at that point. So version 2 of the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. Those were still listed as pathologies. But for that matter, so is homosexuality listed as a pathology. Because apparently psychologists thought that that was necessary. I got to tell you, I find that fascinating because you can go back. There was an emperor, a Roman emperor. So think about that, right? The Roman Empire really failed by, gosh, what was it? 1700s, I think that it was really folding. Matt, you always have my fact checking. Roman Empire died in somewhere, by about mid truly by mid-1700s. But there was a Roman emperor who wanted to pay somebody, and it was an exorbitant amount of gold. Who knows how much it was. But that emperor wanted somebody to be able to change his genitalia. So this was, 2,000 years ago. There is abundant evidence that Romans preferred homosexual relationships than over heterosexual relationships because they were just easier. It was easier is the way they thought of it. Women were difficult. Women needed, care, and you had to say, "Oh, I love you," and things like that. Men, you could just go, "Look, you want to go in the back and shtup? Yep. All right, let's do it." So, my point here is that they've been listed as pathologies, and I think we only do that because of the way our medical system works now. So we had to have transvestism, we had to have transsexual, we had to have gender identity disorder, which is what DSM-4, how DSM-4 classified gender dysphoria. And now cross-dresser, so transvestism is still actually in DSM-5 for what it's worth. And maybe you knew this, Angela, but so it's still in DSM-5 because that's actually where autogynephilia is, shoehorned in there as a specialization of transvestic disorder, I believe it's called. So language does change over time, and it changes over time, particularly scientific language, because we continue to learn new things. There's a quote from Hamlet, right? Hamlet says, there are many things under heaven and earth than are thought of in your philosophy, I believe is how it goes. I think I've just misquoted Shakespeare, but it's not like I know much Shakespeare, right? That goes way back to Elizabethan times. We were already saying, look, we don't know everything. One of the biggest things I learned as a scientist was, I don't know everything. The idea that we do know everything and we should be able to calcify all of our dogma into legislation and just everybody goes, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, sure. Science stops? Sure. Is ludicrous. Language and science change over time, always. Miss Sheaf, hi, says, hey, kitty cats, hi. All right, here we go. Thorn has a great question. My thorns have roses has a great question. How do we reassure people that our existence is not an attack upon theirs? I think that's a great question. The way I've tried to approach that, and there's two questions. I'm going to say this first. The way I've tried to approach this is really to take a step back, because this, the comment that I talked about at the very beginning of this live, the comment that I talked about, devolved very quickly into I personally am assaulting women. I personally am harming children, endangering children. So I want to take a step back and say, or I try to take a step back and say, let's look at what the fear is. Because the fear is protecting women, protecting children. And if you look at the two executive orders, right, that came out, one says protecting women, and the other one, I'm forgetting exactly how it's put, but it's along the lines of protecting children. When you take that out of context, like nobody's going to say, if you go up to somebody, I don't care who it is on the street, and you go, should we protect women? People are going to go, well, yeah, of course we should protect women. No, we shouldn't. What we should do is boot them out on the curb and tell them to get a job with a drill. No, of course you want to protect children. Of course you want to protect women. That's why these things were written the way they are. But from whom are we protecting women in particular? Because I want to move back to women. How do we reassure people that our existence is not an attack upon theirs? The reassurance, I believe, comes from acknowledging, first of all, that they want to protect somebody. that there is the idea of protecting somebody, but then you have to brainstorm on what does the what does protection mean? You know, from whom are we protecting people? Because if the typical argument is that transgender people, transgender women, go into women's spaces and assault them. I mean, first of all, I want somebody to bring up just the docket that's overflowing with trials against transgender women and assaulting women. So I'd love to see that, first of all. So we have to acknowledge they want to protect women, but then we have to ask the question, from whom? Is it transgender women? The executive order in particular brings up both rape shelters. I'm confident that TikTok's right on the verge of giving me a pop-up here, but talks about shelters for women who have gone through domestic abuse or sexual abuse, sexual assault. I'm at a point now, at least in my transition, where I don't have the parts to do that. At least the latter. I don't have the parts to do that. Domestic abuse means it's taken place in the home. So that's the husband's. So we need to acknowledge, first of all, yes, let's protect women, but then we need to ask the further question, from whom? And I think that oftentimes, again, like I said, it's really easy just to say, well, we need to protect women. And people go, well, yeah, we do. But is this it? Is this protecting women? Does that executive order protect women? I don't know. So hopefully, Thorns, that gave you a little bit. First of all, we can't just go, oh, you're an idiot. We need to acknowledge what the problem is. The problem is there are absolutely women who are abused. Absolutely. I mean, it's happened for millennia. This is not they're not joking, but Frybird over here says you have to protect us. I don't know where it went. Says you have to protect us from the menfolk. And Matt says, yeah, we're dangerous. Where did I see that? I could have sworn I saw it. Oh, here we go. Protect us from the menfolk. Says, for real, we're dangerous. It's happened for millennia. There is an absolute real fear there. And I think it's important to acknowledge that, both from women and from the men who are at least claiming to want to protect them. So I think that's a start, Thorns. Hopefully that does something. And then Thorns goes on to say, I avoid any space that I feel may cause others grief because I know that will create less drama for me, and it's so unfair. Right. Oh my gosh, I can't tell you how much I don't like going into restrooms that have women on it. I mean, my whole life, even when I was like in graduate school, when I would dress up and go out and call myself Selena instead of Amethysta, I was welcomed into women's restrooms. Like, my friend Julia and I were talking about this at some point. She was like, no, she says it in places where she goes, she's a cisgender woman, places she goes, if they see somebody transgender trying to figure it out, they're like, no, honey, come in here. You don't want to go in there. Come into our bathroom because we're much safer for you. So I agree with you. I have hesitated because it's like, am I going to scare somebody? Am I going to make somebody worried? And I think that's really exemplifying the way that transgender women fit into this equation. We're not the ones putting women into domestic abuse shelters. We're not the ones putting them into shelters because we care this much. Because we are women. So you have to go with that. So, all right. So Miss Sheaf says, X are unfair. Horrid transes makes trouble for ones that are not horrid. I got a comment recently on something that says, not somebody who subscribed to me clearly, but the person says, I liked this explanation of being transgender because you're nice, I think is how they put it. Because you say it in a nice way. Not like those mean transgender people. And I think there's something to that. There are the people who are very, very vocal. And those very vocal people are the people the media want to pump up. It's really fascinating to me. I've watched the growth of my channel and the growth of somebody whom I would consider a competitor. And we started about the same time. She is very she is very critical. There we go. She tends to do response videos, and they're not kind. Several of my videos have been skewered. I think 4 last I counted. I'm trying not to watch too many of them because I don't like being skewered. But she has grown much more quickly than I have because people love bad news. They want to see people making fun, especially making fun of their own. So there are, I don't know if I want to call them horrid transgender people, but yeah, they do cause trouble. It's trouble that that we could do without. So Joe says they don't deserve that consideration. I'm curious who the they were. I'd love to hear. Or oh, okay, sorry. This was in response to Thorne's thing about how do we reassure people. I think they do deserve the consideration just because we don't, like, I can ignore people, but the reason why I do these live streams is presumably people can come into these, like Stone Mama just joined. Hi, Stone Mama. Hopefully you'll stick around. Come into these lives and I hope that they look at me and go, oh, this is just like a normal person. Like, this isn't a screechy person. This isn't a weird person. This is just somebody talking about her life. And I'd love for people to see more and more of this. You know, this is why I interview people. Louise Richardson, which, by the way, hi, Louise, says these people are just making excuses for bigotry. I'm unsure I'll agree with you on they don't really believe what they are saying. I think that there are people who do, although I don't know if I would. I don't know if they hold it with conviction. I think they believe it long enough to leave a mean comment and then move on. I'm a little unsure. All right, let me see what else we have here because I saw something about Rocky Horror. So wait, Frybird says your very religious mom made you watch Rocky Horror Picture Show for family moving night when you were 14. What did... Oh, so Matt actually asked, did she know what she was playing? So Frybird says she loved it in the 1970s. Hey, it was an alien movie, right? I mean, those were aliens who came to Earth looking to colonize and trying to say, hey, everybody can be really groovy, right? Everybody knows that's a story, right? That's the Rocky Horror story? Yeah? No? Yes, looking back, some of the songs are offensive. I mean, this was 1978, I think the movie came out. Certainly we use language differently. Certainly we use, we call certain people different things. Now, that being said, I do want to remind, make the point again, it was a movie about aliens. And they used some of those words to describe a planet, a star system. Transsexual was the planet. Transylvania was the star system. And my point is that they were using this to wait, did I get those backwards? I might have gotten them backwards. Might be transsexual was the star and Transylvania was the planet. Anyway, point here is that they used those, I think, on purpose to make people go, ooh, wait, what the hell is that? And then when you made it really, really innocuous, oh, that's just a planet? Then you go, wait, is that just a word? Is cisgender just a word? Is transsexual just a word? There are some offensive bits. And at the same time, I go, for what it was trying to do, I find it very important, a very important part. Not to mention, I will tell you, the first time I saw it, I think I was about 12 or 13, and I was in Seattle. And I remember we sit down and everybody's chanting, 5, 4, or whatever, 9, 8, 7, sex, sex, sex. I'm like, oh boy, this is going to be really crazy. The lips come on. Michael Rennie was ill. Anyway, point here is that Frankenfurter comes on stage or comes on screen, and I just went, oh, wait a minute. There are people just like I am? And not only are there people just like I am, but this guy's really effing cool. Like, look at how cool this guy is. He had phenomenal makeup. I mean, come on. So I think I'm all finished talking about this. I know this was not intended to be a topic, but hey, Rocky Horror. Let me go back to something else. Let me see. So Joe says, can we even have one case of that type of crime? One type of crime meaning a sexual assault by a transgender woman going into a woman's space is what Joe is talking about. I did ask once, and somebody said, "Oh yeah. There's one case 20 years ago. I don't remember the time, but like 15, 20 years ago in Scotland." And I said, "Oh, can I have names? Can I have location?" And it was kind of like, it was in Scotland, because I think there are only like 4 people. That's 3 fingers, but pretend it was 4. And apparently only 4 people in Scotland, and I should have been able to look it up. So I've never actually gotten substantiation for that. So it is kind of weird. Kalasia, which hopefully I'm saying that right, Kalasia 789 says, they do not care about protecting women. That is just a way for them to exert control over women and to be misogynistic. I do agree. Because if you looked at that executive order, and Kalasia, forgive me if I'm telling you things you saw, 3 weeks ago when I did 2 weeks ago? Who knows when I did this? But when I went over that executive order, it talks about, cherished traditions of sex-based opportunities, including apparently being put escaping to a domestic abuse shelter. Yeah, that's not protecting women. Like, that is not. That is absolutely entrenching misogyny, and that is absolutely entrenching control over women. Erica Foreman says, our existence is not a threat to other women. No. I mean, gosh, I did a video. It was when I was still in Thailand last summer, so 6-8 months ago, where I brought up, because I mentioned, okay, look, now I don't have the parts to assault women, so now I should be safe, right? And somebody laid into me. Oh my gosh, it was so nasty to say, you lie about, just said I was lying. How about that? And so I made a video where I said, listen, I was physically assaulted in the home by my father. I was sexually assaulted when I was 13. Like, do I not understand these things? Is that appropriating women's experiences? We're not a threat to other women because for the most part, what we go through in our lives is the same thing. Possibly worse, because it's worse. Well, I'm not going to say it's worse. But it is definitely bad to be a little boy and not to live up to what dad wants you to be. And the rest of, other people in the world want you to be. It's very bad. It's very difficult. Ends up being very, you end up with a very violent life. I'm going to say that. And presumably every transgender woman here is going to go, yes. Jenny says this is rhetoric. We're used as a smokescreen to usurp control over all women. Very true. Saying what Erica does. Metatech is asking me a great question. I do want to answer this. Because this is going to be great. Here we go. Sorry. Metatech asks me, was transitioning worthwhile for you? Yes. Excuse me, that was too short of an answer. Fuck yes. Would I encourage, and I'll tell you why. You know what? Because I actually, that's cute and all. But it was absolutely worth it. So Meta, I don't know if you know this, so I'm in my 50s now. It took I was 52 years old when I started transition, and I did not transition until then because I just didn't think it was for me. I knew I was going to do it by the time I was 12, easily. Easily 12, probably earlier. And I waited 40 years. I started looking at it in 2001, I think it was, because I was working, I had money, and I had just gotten divorced. So I thought I have I have freedom and everything. So I started looking at it in 2001. It was very difficult. The process was difficult, even in California. And so I didn't follow through then. But oh my gosh, it's been so worthwhile. I have gone. This is the way that I explain this, and hopefully Meta this does it for you. I went from being a very angry, a very crabby, and a very crusty old man hoping he would die as soon as possible to a very, very vibrant and happy woman who looks forward to life and looks forward to the rest of my life, to watching our son grow up, to learning about myself for the rest of my life and the world for the rest of my life, to going on shows and talking about it and saying there is nothing that has completed my life like gender transition. Nothing. Not a single thing. I could have won the lottery, and I don't think it would have made as big of a difference as transitioning gender. So now I'll answer this. Now I'll read the second half of what you said. Would I encourage an older single adult to transition if they can find the resources? Once again, I'm going to say yes. If you can find the resources, yes. I do, and I don't want to make a commercial out of this. I do gender coaching, which I would rather call like transition project management more than anything. So if you needed the help, I can help you find the resources. I've got various resources. So if you need help, reach out, because you can find me at amethysta.io. You can send me an email. Anyway, absolutely. But if you have the resources, I would absolutely recommend it, even if it's minor. Because seriously, all I intended to do right at the beginning was reduce the amount of testosterone I had running through me. And that was it. I had no desire to do much else. And within about 3 weeks of estrogen hormone replacement therapy, I felt so much better that I was like, there's no way I'm stopping this. And now, presumably, you can tell I didn't. But it's amazing. It's truly amazing. So Miss Sheaf makes a very interesting comment here. All Mary's viewers love Amethysta. I'm curious if I was a bit too obvious. Joe Neal says, so responding to Louise, who says they're making excuses for bigotry. If you need to if you need to blame all this on transgender women, Joe says it's like separate water fountains, lunch counters, etc. No practical reason for any of it, just bigotry. A point came up, and I think it was my wife who brought up this point. Really, really good point, because there was oh dang, what was the name of this show? It was about the black women who worked on the space program. Oh dang, I'm forgetting it. But there's a big part where the lead guy comes out and goes, "Where are you going for an hour?" And the black lady says, "Well, I have to walk 40 minutes or 20 minutes, I think it is, down the road to get a bathroom. Because these are segregated bathrooms here. I can't go into the white woman's bathroom." What were the white women thinking? Like, were the white women thinking, like, was the same thing going on there, that they go, well, we think black women are going to go in and do something bad to these white women. Is it the same thing? Was it the same thing? Because if it was, like, we got past that, 60 years ago. not quite, I know. 50 years ago, anyway. Is it the same thing? Were there people writing executive orders? We need to protect women, protecting white women from this black ideology that's going to infect them as black women walk into bathrooms to go pee. Ugh, it's ridiculous. Very, very ludicrous. All right, here we go. Angela says, again, Angela says, the strange thing is I've been in female designated spaces for over 40 years and nobody has said anything. Luckily, I'm stealth, and in fact, I have even, you've even had people discuss trans women to you, or transgender people to you. That's funny. I love that, actually. Yeah. Like I said, when I was dressing up in graduate school, anytime I went into a restroom, a woman's restroom, it was like, look, I'm just putting on lipstick. Nobody cared. They'd walk in and they'd go, hey, I love those. It's like, because I had these tights. These were amazing tights. They were burgundy and black striped. So it was like little horizontal stripes. Burgundy and black striped thigh highs. They were so amazing that I wore with a garter belt. It was pretty great. Now, one of the skirts that I had was like this velvet, like a tight black velvet mini skirt, and so I kind of always had to pull it down to get it over the straps on the garter belt. Anyway, I'd have women come in and go, "Oh my gosh, honey, those tights or those tights are amazing," and I'd be like, "Right? Look, and I've got even a garter belt, and oh, the fashion is amazing." They weren't coming in and going, oh, clutching their pearls. Oh my gosh, did you go pee near me? I've got to go home and lie down on my fainting couch. Nobody did. So I'm with you, Angela. I've never had anybody go nuts at me. All right. Miss Sheaf asks, so she loves Rocky Horror. Good. Did I see Hedwig and the Angry Inch? That was another movie. So I saw that movie, I think about 2003. I don't remember exactly when the movie came out. I did not see it on Broadway. I know it ran on Broadway for a long time. So I did not see the play. I saw the movie. And it was within a couple of years of when I started looking at transition, which might have been 2002, actually. So it was within a couple of years of when I started looking at it and realized I'm just not going to be able to do this. And I was so envious. I hated the film, but I loved the film because it so captured everything that I really felt. And, the idea of a transgender woman who takes, I don't want to say takes advantage, gets an opportunity to transition, thinking it's going to be love, and it doesn't work, but she ends up in the Midwest, and but she makes the best of it. I think that's what really hit me so hard. I'm going to end up crying about this, but the idea that that she took what she had, because there's even a line in it, right? When she meets the guy, for some reason, Johnny Ringo is coming to mind, but that's from Tombstone. What was his name? Johnny X or Johnny something? Adam 12, who knows? The point is that Axel F, I can keep going. Anyway, she's the first time the two of them are together, he goes, "Oh my gosh, what's that?" And she goes, "That's what I have to work with." And that one line alone, I thought, I wish I could make that my mantra. That this is the life I have to work with, and I'm going to be okay with it. And I think when you have such a difficult life as transgender women do, to see that positive of an attitude was just mind-blowing to me, because I thought, no, our lives suck. Our lives are horrible. And yet here's somebody who ended up with a vaguely botched operation. And that's what she has to work with. And she was fine. Hopefully that answered your question. I could go on for a long time about Hedwig, because there are so many amazing things in it to me. Bohal says, tired of the transgender scapegoating. Very much. Not sure I even get it. Let me see here. There was something... I heard that with Smeagol's accent. Oh. So Frybird says, you scare me. Presumably scare. And Jenny, I hope you're saying I heard that with Smeagol's accent. I just have to breathe. There was nothing funnier I think I saw than oh shoot, the guy who did Smeagol. Now I'm trying to remember his name. I'm not good. Andy Serkis. There we go. Reading Trump tweets. Kerfuffle? What is kerfuffle, precious? Oh my gosh, so hilarious. All right. One of your mutuals, Ava, just passed through. She'd have liked it here. Oh, it's a bummer. Yeah, Frybird, I missed the alien aspect. Frybird says she missed the alien aspect about Rocky Horror. Yeah, at the end, remember the castle actually takes off. Riff Raff sings at the end. He says, oh gosh, I'm getting the lyrics wrong. You're now my prisoner. I'm your new commander. Your mission is, how's that go? Your mission is a failure. Yeah, I'm screwing the lyrics. Anyway, we return to Transylvania, prepare the transit beam. And so they're flying away because ultimately Brad and Janet got all spooked, which they didn't, right? At the end, they ended up doing the Medusa ray, and they're all, you have some great songs going on there, right? Anyway, Surf was up on Riff's head. Who cares? Your lifestyle's too extreme. There you go. That's it. Frankenfurter, it's all over. I'm not going to sing the whole thing. TikTok would absolutely filter my comment if I said it. Cool. B&A Girl says hello. Hey, B&A. Oh my gosh, I hope you haven't left. Sent a gift. Hi, B&A Girl. I'm so slow getting those. I'm sorry. Sax Machine Amy. I play guitar, though. It's a bummer. All right, let me see what else do we have here. So Joe says, my college has shower stalls with attached changing stall. Apparently I can't talk. My college has, I still can't say it, shower stalls with attached changing stalls with curtains. Problem solved. Yeah, right. So this is interesting, though. So Thorne says that she would not encourage meta tech to transition, but would certainly support if you wanted to pursue transition. I'm curious about it. It's interesting. Maybe you've had a bad experience, Thorne, and if you do, I'm sorry. Like, that's a bummer. I'd love to hear more about that. Maybe we can communicate outside of this. But I think there's... Oh, Matt says we should jam sometime. Yeah, I don't know. If you're watching on TikTok, Matt, I think you can't see, but I do have some musical schmutz here. I have a couple of guitars. I've got a little MIDI thing right next to me, MIDI keyboard controller. And I have a lever harp. I am the most miserable harpist. But for some reason I just love the sound of a harp. I'm a miserable harpist. Partly because I never practice. So maybe, Matt, what should happen is you pull out, like, your Proco Rat, start giving me some power chords, and then I'm going to, and then I can play some harp along with you. Key of C or something, who knows. Anyway, Thorne, I'm curious. See, so Matt says he's bad at violin, but love playing it. So there you go. So we can do violin and harp. I think we've got, if we could just get, oh my gosh, if we could get somebody with a hurdy-gurdy, I think, Matt, you and I together with a hurdy-gurdy person, we can be like Trobar de Morte. I don't know if you know them, but Trobar de Morte. Good times. Anyway, going back. So Thorne says she would not encourage Meta. I'd love to know why. I believe, and here's the thing. When I started transition, I had a few people say, you know what you're going to do? You're going to paint a target on your back. And I've continued expanding the target. This is me expanding my target right now, clearly. But somebody said you're going to paint a target on your back, and somebody's just going to come and hurt you. And I said, if somebody comes and hurts me, at least I will die being the person I know I am, rather than living as the person I know I'm not. I don't want to die. I really, really want to live because this is so phenomenal. I had no idea that life could actually be fun, that life could actually be rewarding. I didn't know that being who I am could ever be possible. Gonna cry again just thinking about this, but I don't want to die. But if I all the hate, all the discrimination, all the everything that I've faced, I will say I find it absolutely worth it. I find it absolutely worth it. And I'm sorry, Thorne, if your experience has not been as good as mine. I hope not. But if it hasn't, I'm sorry it hasn't, because it's been amazing for me. So Miss Sheaf says being gender non-conforming gets you beat up. Right? It does. We go through horrible times. When I was a kid, people would push me in the mud. I'm not even going to say the names that they would say because too much. It's a hard life. It's a very hard life. And it's interesting to me. I feel like a lot of the cisgender, like people who are cisgender, not a slur again, go back to the beginning. A lot of people who are cisgender who really disagree with whatever it is. Because I'm trying to figure out what you disagree with. Like me wearing a skirt. Why would you disagree with like my clothing choice? I mean, I get it if you're like in the fashion industry and you look at me and you go, honey, really? You're wearing white shoes after Labor Day? What's wrong with you? Like, I can understand that. Okay, if you're criticizing it, sure. But if you're like some, average Joe or Jane, in Kansas, what difference does it make? But I guess it does make a difference. So anyway, if you have to like harm somebody for disagree because you want to disagree with that, I don't get it. I just don't think there's any margin in it. There's no reward in it. There's no nothing. Anyway, I think I had a point that I've kind of lost, and so I'm going to move on. All right, so Thorne says it's not because of her personal experiences. I just don't feel like it is her place to encourage such a personal experience. Thorne, hopefully I'm gendering you correctly. I'm using she, her. You can see, hopefully that's all good. Correct me if you need to. So Thorne also says, what if she suggests something that is counterproductive? Well, that's a good point. It's a good point. So it's a good point. And then that was in part where I said, I do project management where it's like, let's figure out what you find important and work toward those things you find important. Because it may not actually be transition. I mean, there are a couple of people I've talked to who are like, really all I want to do is, change my name. And I'm like, oh, if that's all you want, cool. Because that's depending on where you are. And I guess depending upon the administration in power, depending upon 4 executive orders maybe going away, relatively simple. So it's a good point. So thank you, Thorne. That's a great point. Angela then brings up in the 1970s, the BBC in England showed a documentary called George Julia, which showed her transition via our National Health Service. No joke. In the 70s. Wow. I mean, obviously, Christine Jorgensen, right, came back to the United States. I think it was 1953, literally had a ticker tape parade because this is a triumph of modern medicine. Why is it that in the 1950s, it was great. In the 1970s, BBC is going to make a documentary about it. NHS of England is going to foster this to pay for this transition. I'm sure it was helpful for you to see the way forward there. Why is it so bad now? I don't know. I keep on not wanting to acknowledge this. Miss Sheaf says, good singing. Well, I didn't have anything behind me. I was trying to do the best I could. I appreciate that, but yeah. All right, I'm getting ready to end this. Matt says, he loves harp too. So true. It's beautiful. A hurdy-gurdy. Does everybody know what a hurdy-gurdy is? There is, if you don't, here's what I'm going to tell you to do. In fact, do this anyway. Go to YouTube, if you're not on YouTube right now, look up somebody named Patty Gurdy, Patty Gurdy. She will never know that I'm doing this, but first of all, she's beautiful. Her presentation is amazing. Her voice is ridiculously good. And the songs that she makes with hurdy-gurdy, which is sort of like a violinish. I mean, it's like a droning there are drone strings. It's kind of like a what's it called? Oh, a sitar. It's almost like a sitar, only there's a little thing that you crank, and it's sort of like a circular violin bow. So rather than going back and forth, it just goes in a circle, right? So it sounds like a violin, but you can throw drones in there. It's one of the ways that a violin can end up playing chords. So it's kind of neat, an accompaniment to a melody. So it's really fun. Go find Patty Gurdy. And Patty, if you ever see this, I would love to talk to you. You are just the coolest. I think I found her videos 2 or 3 years ago, and it was really super neat. So, all right. I think I'm going to cut this short now. It is now 2:02. I want to say thank you so much to Matt and to Frybird for being moderating on TikTok. Jenny, I'm glad I got to see you. Thank you so much. The video you did recently, Jenny, by the way, was I really got to take a drink of water. Hang on. I met a friend for breakfast, so I've been talking like 4 hours at this point today. So, oh, Alien Huntress just joined. Oh, I'm so sorry that I'm about to go. I'm about to go. Damn. But Jenny, that one video you made was poignant, very, very poignant. B&A girl, glad to see you. At one point I worked for Boeing North America. So whenever I see your name, I go, oh, a girl who apparently works for Boeing North America. It's probably not true, but I'm saying it anyway. So Frybird, did I miss anybody? Frybird, Matt, B&A girl, Jenny, Alien Huntress, hi. I got Miss Sheaf, my thorns have roses, Angela, Joe, Louise, Kalasia, Meta, Erica, everybody, Bo. I hope I got everybody. If I missed you, all I want to say, love you so much. The only reason why I do this is because there are people watching, and I continue just to go, I can't believe that I have the opportunity, the platform to do something like this. So thank you so much to all of you, and I will see you next week. Thank you. Bye. Oh, sorry. Talk soon. Bye.